everybody. Welcome to my Facebook Live. It's been a few months since I've done one of these. Yeah, it's been really busy over here at Kitten Teeth. Um, but let me introduce myself, especially if you're going to watch this as a replay um, and you're not familiar with me. So, my name is Nikki Barron, and I have gone under the moniker of Kitten Teeth for like 10 years now. It started out as a name I would use for crafting or creative projects I was working on. It then became the name of my full-time consulting business when I was a full-time consultant. And now I've kept it through this iteration, which is coaching. So I've been in marketing for over 10 years now. And I currently work for a software company called Maston Labs. And in this company, I utilize all the things that I try to teach musicians and creators to grow software companies. I teach those all to musicians, creators, and other people who are really working on their passions and trying to sell their art and make a living doing it. Or maybe not even make a living, but just make it fulfilling and self-actualizing. So that is my goal at Kitten Teeth, is just to take all this really wonderful corporate and startup marketing skills and translate them into the creative space, because I think that there's definitely room there to utilize some of those skills. So that is me in a nutshell. Um, yeah, so I'm also a creator myself. I am a graphic designer, and I love to also do photography, and I've just picked up videography. And so I totally understand where you're coming from when you're throwing your heart and soul into your projects and you're just not getting the results that you want. You're not getting people reacting the way that you want them to. And so through marketing and business coaching, that's what I help people do. So that is me. Very cool. So if you are with me right now, leave in the comments your project. What are you working on? Is it a blog? Is it a magazine? Are you a musician? Share it with us. I'd love to take a look at what you're creating. Super cool. I'm just going to do one tech check just because I can't help myself. I have to see if it's working. Let's see here. So while I'm doing that, we can just, hang out. That's what I love about Facebook Live. It's such a casual environment. And so I hope it's not too intimidating if you are interested in doing one. I actually have a resource on my blog where I talk about how to do a Facebook Live. I give you tips on how you can go from just using your phone or upgrading to a Meebo camera. And I am going to make a supplementary one on how you could use your SLR if you wanted to take it even a step further. But that's another cast. All right. Well, I'm just going to dive right in then into social media tips for musicians. So I think that social media gets a bad rap. I think it seems almost like a means to an end. And it's not something that most people enjoy doing for their business or their art, but it's actually really cool if you think about it. If you just break it down and think about what a gift it is to have this channel that you can interact with your fans with directly and get instant feedback and instant connection with fans all over the world. That's pretty magical. And I know it feels like a chore sometimes, but when you reframe how you approach social media, when you turn it into a something that you are using to connect with your fans instead of, oh, I just need to say this at my fans, it's actually really a cool tool for that connection between the two. So if I had to start with a tip, my first tip is reframe how we feel about social media, because it really is a gift, and it is a really intimate way to connect with your fans that probably is the closest thing you could do to mirroring what it would be like to be in a performance situation, or even an art showing if you're a visual artist. Like, that's kind of what social media can be. It's just an extension of that. So my first tip is let's think about how we can use social media in a way that feels good for us, as well as creates connection, because that's really what the goal is with social media. It's not just say, hey, I have a show coming up, or hey, I have this thing I want you guys to support me on. It's a way to connect with them. And I think when we reframe it, that's really makes it a special place. Hi, cool. I have some people. I have Andrea and Nina here. Exciting. Um, well, I'm going to move into my next tip for social media. And I think this is probably the hardest one I'm going to give you. And that is to create a schedule in advance. So it's really good to set a time every single month where you sit down and you say, this is what I want to share for the next week, 2 weeks, or 30 days, or if you're really ambitious, 90 days, and lay it all out in a way that makes sense for you. So maybe it's you start with writing ideas on a post-it notes and you start arranging them and giving them dates, or maybe it's, for me, I use an Excel spreadsheet because I'm very Excel oriented. So that might be how you do it, but really figure out what you want to say in advance, because one, it's going to give you a cohesive story. Two, you can build momentum. So I know when I'm just trying to think of something randomly to say on social media, I feel kind of blocked. But if I sit down and I think about it and I get one good idea, I can build on top of that idea to make the next day or week or month's post. And I just kind of build momentum. So when you sit down and you create space to think creatively about social media, it makes it a lot easier. It also makes it a lot easier to create that content in advance. So if you have a plan, then you know, okay, I need to make 5 graphics, or I need to find 5 photos, and you just go do all that work ahead of time. And social media is great because you can, almost every platform allows you to just schedule it directly into it, or you can get a service like Hootsuite to set all that up for you. And then it's super easy. And then from there, all you have to do is monitor the comments. So you don't have to, do it every day, but just build consistency. And the way you get that consistency and you get a cohesive story is just to sit down and schedule it in advance. It also gives you a chance to think deeply about what you want to share. So I know with my clients, a lot of them are like, I have this social justice aspect of my art, and I want to share my opinions, but sometimes I worry about backlash, or I worry that people are going to not like what I have to say. And if you get angry because you watch a YouTube video or you see a post and then you turn around and you just make this post, you might actually alienate your following. But if you sit down and give yourself an opportunity to look at what you want to say and write it in a way that makes connection instead of alienation, you can still have that aspect of your business. And also, it gives you that kind of buffer period where you can just be like, okay, it's in the schedule. And maybe in a few days, you're like, I've decided I don't want to share that. You're not going back and deleting it and dealing with it in the past. You're ahead of it. So it gives you just more control over your messaging. And you can take more risks because you've really thought about what you want to share. So that is tip number 2, is to create your schedule for social media in advance. So this next one, it's a tip, but it's much more tactical. So the other 2 tips that I gave was, first, reframe how you want to think about social media. Let's not think about it as a means to an end, as something I have to do because that's what the marketing people say I have to do, but rather it's a way to communicate intimately with your followers, and they really get access to you. And so I think that that's the most important tip I can give you. That was my first tip. The next tip was scheduling your posts in advance so that you can build momentum, be consistent, and really craft a message that you're proud of. So that's the next one. But this is very tactical. So it's less about the strategy, it's more about the tactic. And it's a very simple one. And it's setting up a pinned post. And that is basically where, when I land on your page, it has a post that they say is the most important post, and it's always there. It's always the first thing. And it's links to all of the music and other places that I can interact with you. So I know for me, I'm a Facebook person, so I like to follow all of my musicians and artists that I enjoy on Facebook. I don't really do that on Instagram. I'm not much of a following of Instagram influencers, but I like that on Facebook. But if I had come across somebody on Facebook and I saw, oh, they have YouTube, I might go subscribe to them too, because that's the other place I really enjoy following musicians, because I want to hear their music, and where else can you hear it but through videos if it's not on, iTunes or something. So being able to lay out where I can find you, and I can pick the channel that is most impactful for me, as a fan is really, really helpful. I also found that people are really bad at putting their music online. So when they do put it online, it gets shared like one time, and then I never see it again other than that first post. So if you have a pinned post, and if you do even take the next step of pinning it and boost it, it'll always be showing up in your followers feed. So you're always reminding me, hey, I can listen to you on YouTube, or I can follow you on Instagram, or maybe if you're an avid Twitter user, I can go follow you on Twitter. So just creating a pinned post is super helpful. I actually have a little tutorial on how to do that. It's one of my videos here on my Facebook page. I've also linked, you can see it here in the description of this video. And I actually linked to a blog post where I have all the things I'm talking about today, as well as instructions on how to set up your pin post. You can even go to my website through the link in that blog and enter your email, and I will email you the logos that you would need, you know, a YouTube logo, an Instagram logo, all of that in the right sizes for creating a pinned post. So I made it super, super easy. I even gave you an example of one that I made for a client yesterday, just so I knew that all my steps were correct. And so it is there for you. So check that out. I'm also going to just quickly put it here in the comments, just so it aligns with the replay video. Perfect. Oh, that's a good segue. So, some LaCroix. It's the worst flavor though. It's peach pear. No. Okay, so my next tip is respond to comments. The worst thing that you can do is ignore your fans and your followers. You can have this really lovely connection with people when you actually take the time to respond to their comments. And I get it, if you get thousands of comments and you're in a space where you're just being bombarded, you can't respond to all of them. Totally get it. But if you're somebody who's getting 10, maybe 20 comments a day on your posts, like, take the time to respond to them. They took the time to leave a comment, and think about who you're leaving a comment to. Like, these are people who adore you, that follow you and support you. And like, why wouldn't you want a dose of that every single day? A conversation with someone who's just like, you're amazing, you're awesome, I love everything you're about. Like, why wouldn't you go dip into that well whenever possible? So that's kind of the first thing I always think about. The next is that it just makes people feel good. So not only can you dip into that well, you could like fill someone else's cup that day by responding because they're a big fan of yours. And what a really lovely thing you can do for someone. Like, that's just a really easy gift. And so I really encourage that. It also has a more practical application. So when you have engagement on your posts, it basically tells Facebook or Instagram that what you're sharing is relevant to that person, which means that it's probably relevant to their friends and their family members, because like with like. So when you guys go back and forth and have a short conversation, that post is actually being pushed out to a bunch of their connections. So there's that practical application. The other part of that is that social media platforms like when there's lots of comments. So not only will it surface it to their friends, it'll actually start serving it more actively to your followers, because it's like, oh, there's something interesting happening here because there's a conversation. And so we want to get people in on that conversation. And so it just starts showing it. So there's both this really great emotional connection part of leaving comments and responding to comments, but also a really practical application for making the algorithm work in your best interest. So, any questions or thoughts, feel free to put those here in the comments and I will get to them. Even if your question is not related to what I'm talking about, totally put it in here. I'm happy to speak to your specific situation and questions that you have about social media. So go ahead and leave that here for me and I will get to it. Okay. So my next tip is, again, it's more towards strategy. So I went strategy tip, practical tip. Now we're back to our strategy tip. And that is kind of this. Video is greater than photo, which is greater than text, which is greater than link. So how that works is Facebook, we'll use as an example. They invest all this money in the platform and they're doing it based on research that this is what people really like. They like videos. So we're going to like up our video game. We're going to do live video. We're going to do all these like special tools, and they will reward you for using those tools that they just spent a ton of money building and a ton of data saying that this is what people want to see. So you're going to get more organic reach when you use a video. Right under that would be photo. So if I had to say percentages, they don't publish these, but I would just say from my own experience, video, you're going to reach like, I don't know, like 60% of your followers. Like if you don't have more than say 20,000 followers, you're going to hit a good percentage of them. If you do a video, it's even better if you do a live video. The next thing is photo. So you're probably going to hit maybe like 40% of your followers if you use a really lovely photo. Again, they invest all this money in tools, like use them, you know? So whatever new feature they're coming out with, that's going to be the thing that gets the most organic reach every single time because they want early adopters to start using them. And they're going to reward you for doing that. So after that would be a text. So no photos, no videos, just text talking about something. You can see that they even try to like push you to using more images by having that automated where you can pick a background and it turns your text into a graphic. Like that's how bad they want you to use a photo instead of text, is that they're willing to like spend money making a tool that does that natively for you. But text. And then the last one, which you're going to get the worst organic reach on, is going to be any link that takes you off that platform, which makes sense when you say it like that because you're basically like, they're like, no, don't send our traffic away from Facebook. We just spent all this time and money pushing people onto Facebook. So they're going to just bury that. Unless you boost it, they're like, okay, if you want to share a link and send the traffic away, fine, but you're going to have to pay for that. So you're going to get the worst organic reach with a link. So when you sit down to do your plan, think about how many links you're sending away. And if you can make those link internally, like, so rather than sending them to the ticket link, can you send them to the Facebook event? That's all native in Facebook. Same with Instagram, they're connected. Can you upload your videos natively instead of uploading a video to YouTube and then sharing a link, sending them away to their competitor, Google? So think about how you can use your content to move people within Facebook or within the native platform instead of sending them away. So that's my tip. Video is going to be better organically than photo, which is better than text, which is better than a link. So kind of keep that in mind when you sit down to make your content plan. Hi, Caitlin Logan. Oh, hi, Scott Mize. Thanks for tuning into my Facebook Live. I am just getting to my next tip here, which is pretty cool. It's an Instagram specific one. It's a tactical tip and it's really simple to set up. It's called Linktree. So you know how whenever you have a new show or you have something, you have to take out your website on Instagram and put in the event link. And it kind of is a drag because you just have to keep doing that. And then your post, later down the road, 3 months from now says link in bio, but that link is not actually there. And so there's actually a solution for it and it's called a Linktree. And so if you just go to linktree.com, you will find it. It's free. It's like it sounds. It's branches of a tree and you get to put more than one link and you just put the Linktree link into your Instagram bio. Click that. Now a little window opens up and they can pick where they want to go. Maybe it's your next event. Maybe it's your website, SoundCloud, whatever you want them to be doing. If you head over to the blog post that I've linked here in the comments as well as in the description, I actually have a little demo of the one I set up for the Drifter Luke. So you can check that out and see what it looks like and what we chose to put on his Linktree. He doesn't have a specific show he's promoting right now, so we don't have that on there, but we do have all the other things he's promoting, like his NPR Tiny Desk submission. So you can do that through Linktree. So I had a few people who came in here at the end, so I'm going to quickly review what I discussed. Please put your comments and thoughts about what I'm saying, as well as questions you might have on social media for your music, and I can speak directly to it. So my first tip was that I suggest that we reframe how we are going to think about social media. The biggest thing is that when we approach it like it's a soapbox or we approach it like it's a space where we just yell out in a megaphone, it's not as effective, which is again less rewarding, but also not building connection. So use Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these channels and YouTube to connect with people. and really look at the magic of what you have there. You just have this direct channel to your fans, and they can feel so connected to you, and your music already connects you to them. So you're basically giving them a voice to these emotions that a lot of people don't have the words for. They don't know how to express themselves, and that's why they turn to music. That's why it's so moving. So these people who love you and support you are on social media, and it's not a chore to reach out to them, and it's not a burden. So think of it as, how can I connect individually with each person by speaking directly to them and building connection. My next tip was to sit down and schedule all of your social media in advance. It gives you an opportunity to build on your creative juices once they're flowing. You get one good Facebook idea, so you get a second good Facebook idea, and you just kind of build on that. And then you can also build a more cohesive story. And then you have consistency, because you're looking at the whole plan from the big picture. You're not just like, oh, I had a post here, I was thinking about maybe doing something here. You can just really create a good story there by sitting down and scheduling your posts in advance. It's super easy because I use a spreadsheet. I just use a Google spreadsheet. You can use, I think I said Post-it notes was a good one. At least when you're thinking about what you want to do, you could just write all your ideas out on Post-it notes and then kind of build a little timeline. And then from there, translate it into an actual schedule. But just kind of get your ideas going. I also like the Post-it note thing because it's not like, you're not like deleting stuff. You're like moving stuff around. So nothing is just going in the trash, which can feel really, I know it sounds weird, but it's kind of a barrier when you delete things or you backspace or you erase or you cross out. It really adds a barrier there. So I do like to start with Post-it notes because I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just arranging it differently. I actually got that idea from a buddy of mine who is a musician, and he uses that for putting his set list together. So he doesn't want any song to feel like it's not good or it's not the right one, or that once I've crossed it out, it's off the list forever. He starts with a bigger list on Post-it notes and just kind of moves them around. So I've applied that to my own creative thinking. So tip 2 was create a schedule. Tip 3 was my first tactical tip, and that is to set a pinned post showing where to find your music. If you go to the link that I have here, I have instructions on how to do it, as well as I created all the logos for each different platform. So Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they're all there. You just have to go enter your email and I will just send you the logos already the correct size. So you don't even have to deal. It's really simple. My third tip was responding to comments. Really do it both for the fact that you're exchanging good energy. You're both filling up your cup by exposing yourself to the people who love you and support you the most. And you're filling up their cup by giving them that connection to you, the artist, who gives them voice to their emotions and the things that they go through in their life. And you have that gift to give when you respond to people through social media. It also has those practical applications of telling the algorithm, hey, this is important. People are talking about it. We're having conversations. Let's show that to everybody else because there must be something happening on this post. Otherwise, people wouldn't be commenting. So tell the algorithm that by having those conversations with your followers when they leave you comments, even if it's just a thank you or I love that, or thanks for the support, whatever it is, leave something and kind of, nurture that relationship. It's also like relationships, friendships in general. Like when you just hear from a friend when they want something, that feels really bad. So give as much as they give to you, give as much as you ask. I think that's so, so important. And one way to do that is through the comments. Terrible flavor. Okay, my next tip, video is greater than photo, which is greater than text, which is greater than link. So make sure if you can do it, you make as many videos and live videos as you can. If you can't do that, make photos for your posts. If you can't do that, do text. And if you can avoid it, do not link outside of social media and push people away from the platform because you are not going to get good organic traffic. These platforms are going to reward you by using their services and keeping people on their platforms. So whatever you can do to play that game, do it. Video, photo, text, link. And then my last tip was to use a link tree on Instagram. It's a completely free service. It's exactly as it sounds. You get one link that you put in your bio, which creates a tree of links that you can put whatever you want. And if you head over to that blog, you can see a demo of that I created for the Drifter Luke, who is one of my clients. So do we have any questions or thoughts, or am I just a really fast talker, which I've been known to be? I'm happy to speak directly to whatever you are working on as far as social media goes. Nina Nelson has a question. She said, do you have any suggestions for easy movie editing software or apps to make really cool videos for posting on social media? And I'm thinking of doing 30-second clips of our new songs as a teaser. Yeah, so if you want to do it on your phone, GoPro actually has a really great app. It's free, and it's originally made for editing GoPro footage, but you can use any mobile footage in it. You can bring in pictures. It has graphics. It has like pre-made transitions for you. So my suggestion is to use the GoPro app for the iPhone. So let me see if I can find that link. GoPro app. I use it all the time when I'm doing little short videos. Yes, okay. I'm going to put that link right here in a response to you, Nina. There we go. Yeah, so that is what I would use if you're just wanting to do little 30-second teasers. And then, of course, iMovie if you have a MacBook. That's also a super easy to use software that, you know, it was made for the layman. So definitely take advantage of that. Cool. I know there's a bit of delay, so I'm going to give it another minute or two and see if we get any more questions. Okay, well, if we don't have any more questions, you can leave your questions in the comments here. I monitor them. I take my own advice and I respond to comments. So if you have a specific question that comes up, or if you start working on some of these tips like creating a link tree or doing a pinned post of your where people can listen to your music, and you have any trouble, just send me a message here and I'm happy to pop over there and help you out. Thanks for coming. Also, if you have any thoughts on what else you'd like me to write about or talk about, you can also leave that here. I'm always looking for more ideas on how I can help people with their DIY-ness around their music or any type of art that they're creating, whether it's photography, videography, jewelry making, you're a visual artist, whatever it is. I want to help you be successful, and I want to teach you those things. So please let me know what content I can create. Thanks, guys.